Welcome to this opening press conference organized here at the Prada Media Center in Auckland. Good morning to you here in this room. Good evening to you in Europe. Good night to you in America, if anyone is connected. I would like to introduce the participants. First to my left is Ian Murray, the race director. Second is Sir Ben Hensley from Emirates Team UK. Then Peter Burling from Emirates Team New Zealand. Maxi Reyna from Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli. Terry Hutchinson from American Magic. Tina Simmons from ACE. She's the lady chair of ACE America's Cup events. The race organizers together with Core 36. Extreme right is Francesco Longanesi Catani, who represents the CEO of the Prada Group, Patrizio Bertelli. I will ask a few questions to all of you on stage. Then I will take questions from the floor. And then we will answer those connected through Zoom. May I remind you that we will take questions only related to the racing. And I will ask you to switch off your phones and don't use flash. So Ian, you are extremely respected. You have been America's Cup skipper. You have been world champion on 18-foot skiff many times. You are the most experienced race director. What is your feeling on the eve of the first Prada Cup race, Prada race?
You want me to stand up?
What? Yes. Oh no, you can stay seated.
Look, AC36 is going to be a remarkable event. We have these 4 teams with these incredible boats, and having been up close to these boats and watching, some of the practice racings, some have been close, some have been a bit far apart, but that's what it's all about. But the match racing some of the match racing I saw yesterday, I think is what the America's Cup history is looking for. We are looking for fair and proper racing in the greatest technology boats representing their countries. And from what I've seen of the little bit of racing so far is that these boats are capable of producing that. So for me, as coming up through technology classes, seeing these boats evolve, I think we're in for something quite special. So we're looking forward to it, Bruno.
Thank you. Can you explain the diamond system which protects the boats from collisions?
The diamond system, well, that's an overlay in the, in the digital world. So it puts a boundary around the boats. Obviously, these boats, with their wings out, have some pretty, appendages sitting out there that, in the wrong time could, do a lot of damage. So they're out there as part of the diamond surrounds the boats to give some protection. Likewise, the marks have a 7-metre radius ring around them to, give the boat some guidance as to how close they actually need to go to the boat. So we have a lot of lines on the course in the boundaries as well as protection zones, boundaries, and that's all part of the digital concept which everyone sees on TV but not necessarily on the water to look after the rules, regulations and safety of the boats.
Thank you. What is the weather forecast for tomorrow for the first race?
I'm very happy to say that the weather forecast is putting us back into the southwest wind, and hopefully that will be a nice place to sail down there on Course C.
Thank you. Sir Ben, I will repeat it again, but you are the most impressive skipper of all after winning so much medal at the Olympics over 20 years. You won the Cup in 2013. You are old to need your boat, but are you still working hard on Britannia?
Yeah, we're working very hard, like all of the other teams, just going through this practice in the build-up to this World Series event. It's been fascinating to get out and evaluate the performances. And clearly we're struggling a little bit in the lighter airs at the moment, so that's our big focus. And then, as Ian said, it'll be interesting. We're going to race tomorrow. The breeze should be a little bit stronger, so it'll be interesting to see how the performances stack up then.
What are the areas of improvements? What are the areas? Foils?
There's a lot to it. There's a lot that goes into these boats. Obviously, they're incredibly technical, and it's not just any one area of the boat that you got to work on. It's the whole package, and so that's a big, like I said, it's a big focus for us.
What conditions would be best for you?
Well, right now the stronger winds are definitely better for us. I think it's pretty clear for everyone to see we're struggling a little bit in the lighter airs taking off, and some of the manoeuvres. But that's just part. This is it's a new class of boat. It's development class, and you kind of see that in America's Cup as teams go through the series, they get better and better. And for us in that area, we've got a bit of catching up to do.
Your team principal had a chance to sail with you in Cagliari. Did he like it?
Yeah, Jim Ratcliffe came sailing. We were training down in Cagliari in the build-up to the World Series event, which sadly never happened due to COVID. But Jim came down and came for a sail with us. He just thought the boat was incredible. He's done a bit of sailing in his time, but never on a boat like that, and he was completely blown away. He thought it was awesome.
Do you think that club sailors like us will be ever invited on those boats or similar boats in the future?
That's a good question. I'd be interested what the other guys here think. They're certainly not the kind of boat that you take people out for a joyride. They're full on, but they are incredibly exciting. And I think for a very privileged few, and for us as sailors who get to sail on these boats day in, day out, it is an amazing experience. They're incredibly powerful. The performance is particularly on the upwind legs. The performance is unbelievable. So they're cool boats.
Will you sail again in the Olympics after winning 6 medals, or is this part of your sailing life over?
I really don't think so. London 2012 was the last Olympics I sailed in, and that was just to sail in front of a home crowd like that, once in a lifetime opportunity. And actually, Pete and I were at a function the other night, and I was asking him his view on the classes moving forwards, because as we're going more into foiling boats, should that be more prevalent in the Olympics? And so I don't think I'm going to be back in the Olympics. The focus is the America's Cup.
Thank you, Sir Ben. Peter Berling, most of the early practice legs appear to be in your favor. You don't seem to be slow. Can you confirm, Peter?
Yeah, well, I think all the teams here have their strengths and their weaknesses, but for us, we're obviously happy with how the boat's been going. But we've got a lot of little things we're trying to work on and improve on, and I think it's been a great opportunity for us as a team, and I'm sure all the other teams would say the same, to be actually able to get out and sail around some marks, with other boats. I think it's been something Ben touched on. Was a bit of a shame that. Like everyone in the world, COVID's really delayed the start of the action in this World Series. But I don't think it's incredibly exciting, nonetheless, that we're actually going to be able to race tomorrow for the first time. And I think I'll speak for everyone in our team that we're incredibly excited by that challenge.
The flight controller seems to be the most important role on board. Do you agree with that? Are you sailing? Are you flying? What is the feeling?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of very important roles on board the boat. And I think most of the teams here have kind of named their flight controllers, which is probably one that's talked about a lot, just because it's not a conventional role on a boat. Conventionally you don't really adjust the foils that much, but the boats are a lot more three-dimensional in their trim now, so you have to really actually nail all elements to get the most out of it.
Are the wind shifts important on these boats, or compared to a middle-aged monohull?
Yep. Yeah, I'd say the wind shifts and the pressure, very important. I think the more high performance the boat, the more the tactical decisions get, either amplified or. So if you make one, very wrong, you lose a whole heap of time. So it's definitely going to be that combination of who can actually get their boat to go fast, but also put it in the right spot on the racetrack.
Thank you, Peter. Max, this is your 7th America's Cup. Do you enjoy being back on an Italian boat?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I'm from Italy, so I'm pleased to represent our country, especially in this moment. And finally, as the guy said, we're really looking forward after more than 3 years of training and development and research to go out in the water and start racing. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting week of racing. And as we said many times, every hour, every minute we spend in the water is going to be gold. And every day there is a different boat in the water. So we're really looking forward to start. And the development process will keep going until the end of the Cup. So I think what we see today could change tomorrow, but let's see.
Remember Azura in 1983, Il Moro, Luna Rossa more recently. Are you expecting the same crazy success this year in Italy?
Well, that is up to us, no? Like in any sport, if you're going well and you're racing well, there will be a lot of people following you. At the moment, there is a lot of expectation behind us. We're receiving thousands of messages and from Italy, from supporters. Luckily, the race they're going to be showed on in the main channel TV in Italy. So I guess it's up to us, but they already start to be all sailor in Italy. Most of the time they are all soccer players. Now they start to becoming more all sailors, so they're all talking about foiling, wing, and stuff like that, so it's good.
Do you think that your recent close relationship with Team New Zealand will help you?
At the moment it didn't help much, but at the end, this is the America's Cup. I mean, you're not going to find friend when you are an opponent. So I think the relationship with Team New Zealand is there for more than 20 years, and it will happen, and it will keep going and growing, I'm sure, during the race. For sure, there will be time where we are not in agreement, but this is part of the game and part of the Cup, so I'm not surprised.
Thank you, Max. Terry? Your team is impressive and you worked a lot. It's amazing to see so many people supporting you in America. It's great to see the New York Club back in the game. Are you under a lot of pressure with so much support?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't really feel. We feel the support and the support of the sailing community, of the New York Yacht Club, and of our country. But I don't think there's external pressure being applied to us that overcomes the, all of our desires to be successful on the inside.
We never talked much about that, but is a simulator a key element to the success?
Say again?
Simulator, is that a key element to the success?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting evolution of the use of the simulator, not only from learning how to race the boat properly and understanding the course boundaries and the length of the courses, but also developing features for your boat that really circumvent the big time component. And from a team perspective, we were lucky to get a couple guys that had a lot of experience. We were lucky to have Airbus as a partner that helps with simulation. And in that regard, it's been fascinating to learn how to develop a boat in that world, because I'm more used to it. You called it a middle-aged monohull, so I think I resemble that remark. So it's exciting to see that side of the sport. I mean, these boats are incredible, and that's just all part of it.
What is the most scary maneuver, bearing away?
The scariest maneuver? Probably capsizing.
That's not a maneuver.
Hey? No, it's a pretty it's a well-practiced maneuver. We have 19 in our mule and 1 in the 75, so we're experienced with it.
Thank you very much. Do you think that at start we'll see just a time on distance approach to the line, or some fights?
I think, all the way through it, you're going to see a fight. And the start's just part of it with the restriction of the boundary at the bottom of the race course. And then over on the starboard hand side of that boundary in the committee boat ley line, the boats are all going to be jockeying for one position to try to pin your opponent into the left-hand boundary. And so it'll be interesting to see how the teams approach that and the solutions for it. We've been practicing a lot. When you reference the simulator, you practice that a lot in understanding really what the moves and the counter moves are.
Thank you very much, Terry. Tina Simmons, she's a lady in charge of America's Cup events. The America's Cup is here for the third time. You won once, you lost. The Cup is now very popular here. Do you expect the event to be a success here in terms of local public interest and world coverage?
Absolutely, we expect it to be a success. I mean, the first success is actually being able to hold it in the first place. Obviously, COVID-19's had a major effect worldwide, and it's had an effect on the America's Cup in terms of the World Series. We're incredibly grateful, as I know the challenger teams are, to the New Zealand government and the team of 5 million people here in New Zealand that have managed to keep the pandemic at bay so that we can actually stage this amazing event, both in person for people visiting the village and to be able to screen it to millions of people around the world.
How will you control the spectator fleet, which is apparently a worry?
Well, the spectator fleet is obviously of a great deal of focus in terms of health and safety. So, and the AC-75s go incredibly fast, as we all know. So the first of all, there's some very simple rules that we're asking spectator boats to follow. And the first one of that is to go onto americascup.com. Each day, have a look at what the race course is going to be, when Ian's announced what that is, what the weather conditions are, what variation to the speeds are, but predominantly it's 5 knots. And how to identify the course boundaries. There's some safety videos and safety graphics on there to show people exactly what the spectator boundaries are, and to exercise extreme common sense. So we're welcoming everybody to come out on the water, but please be sensible and also watch that alcohol intake.
But anyone can take his boat and go out and watch the racing.
Yeah, anyone can take their boats. I think it's probably not a good idea to take very, very small craft, kayaks and so on. But anybody's welcome. This is the philosophy of America's Cup event, and Team New Zealand is to be incredibly welcoming and open to everybody, but in order for that to happen, we've got to be incredibly sensible and cautious. Course marshals will be out there, about 17 or so, directing people to where they should be from a safety point of view, and there will be some police presence on the water as well.
Thank you very much, Tina, and good luck with that, with the spectator fleet. Francesco Longanesi Catani. Francesco represents the CEO of the Prada Group here in New Zealand. Did you enjoy the Wero yesterday?
Very much so. It was very, very intense. And it's one of these ceremonies and moments that you will never forget in your life. I mean, it was intense for me, especially because I was a little bit like this with the warriors challenging me.
This year you are both a challenger and the challenger of record and the main partner of the America's Cup. Why did you fill your plate like that?
Well, I think that this is a little bit of a natural evolution of the involvement of Prada in the America's Cup. We started in '97. We were rookies, and we won the Challenger Selection Series at the first attempt then. And we didn't win the cup. We were defeated by Team New Zealand 2-0. And we received a very beautiful message from Sir Peter Blake, which you can find it online in the Luna Rossa website, in which he was saying that this is not a game for faint-hearted, and he was pushing us to come again and again and again, And I think that Mr. Bertelli took this encouragement very seriously. And then when we had the opportunity in Bermuda to become the challenger of record and to take over the title and sponsorship agreement for the entire event, it was a natural evolution of our involvement.
Your daily to-do list must be quite long, no?
Yes, especially with the 12 hours difference time with Europe. So we work for New Zealand during the day and for Milano during the night.
You have a lovely daughter, Lavinia, teenager. She didn't come here. Isn't it too hard?
I think the situation, especially in Christmas, is hard for everybody, every challenger, because here we are living in heaven. It's a fantastic quality of life compared to Europe. But in many cases, our families can't join us for Christmas because of the regulations, and these regulations are there to protect the country from the pandemic, and they prove to be very successful. So I think that it's a little bit of a sacrifice for many of us to spend the Christmas without our families, but this is the price you have to pay for this quality of life.
Thank you, Francesco. Questions from the audience, please? Any question?
Tom McRae from TV3. First of all, obviously without the first two World Series events going ahead and not being involved in the Challenger Series, how much more importance is there for you guys over the next 4 days?
Yeah, well, definitely there's the obvious thing that as a defender this time around, you don't get as much racing as the challengers, but it's been something that we've really tried to make the most of the official practice period this time around, and we're really looking to try and test our processes through the next 4 days. And for us as a team, this is really a massive learning opportunity. It's something that I think all the other skippers here have touched on, but no one's ever raced this type of boat before. So it's all about trying to figure out the exact intricacies and moves and counter moves, and trying to figure out the roles, and the details within that on board perfectly, so that come the end, we're ready. And that's very much what we're aiming at as a team, is that 6th of March.
Ben, Matt Brown from News Talk ZB Sport. How much pressure are you feeling under, given your, I guess, lack of time on the water in the practice racing and your own struggles in the light winds? And secondly, are you performing much better in the heavier winds?
Pressure, well, we're all under pressure. Certainly we're all under pressure of time, like you said. And we've got the race coming up. And then for us as challengers, the 15th of January is when we're really racing for keeps to get through to whichever team has the right to race the Kiwis in the Cup. So, I think the team, like the other teams, we're working incredibly hard to get the best performance we possibly can. And then, in terms of performance in the breeze, like I said earlier, we really don't know. We haven't raced against any of these other teams in the upper end of the wind range yet. So we're certainly looking forward to that. I think, as Ian said, we'll hopefully get some more breeze tomorrow. So it'll be fascinating to see.
Have you actually practiced, though, a lot on your own in the upper reaches, the 20 plus knots?
Yeah. We, the last couple of months we've had some pretty breezy days, particularly on course C. You get the strong southwester and it's quite a shifty, puffy breeze. That's quite full on in these boats.
Yes, ma'am. Wait for Mike, please. And please introduce yourself. Apes here. Thank you.
Abby Wilson from One News. So Ben, just touching on that, you obviously have been in the sheds quite a bit over the past week, and there's been some speculation that you guys have made a bit of amendments to your bustle or something on the hull. Can you talk about whether you guys have done that, and if you have been making changes? You said you're trying to catch up in these light conditions. What you're trying to fix?
I can't really confirm or deny that, but needless to say, we've been making changes, as I'm sure all the other teams have been making changes. Some of them are pretty subtle. You can't see. A lot of it's internal with the systems and how you sail and operate the boats. Some of it's external, but there are going to be lots more changes made to all of these boats and teams as we go through the next couple of months.
Next question here. please.
Duncan Johnson from Stuff. A question for Peter. Could you just sort of take us through your day yesterday? Obviously, a couple of tussles, a win and a loss. I mean, what's the mindset of the team now coming off a bit of a shake-up with that second race?
Yeah, well, definitely yesterday was a pretty cool day for us as a team. It was an incredibly challenging one. We did a whole heap of pre-starts, and we had a good little lineup with Luna Rossa in one race, and we kind of had some good interaction with the boats there. So it was quite exciting to actually be fighting for some positions around marks, and then and the thing in the second race, we got that question earlier whether the shifts and pressure actually affect these boats, and they definitely do. If you end up on the wrong side of a shift, just like any other yacht race, you lose a lot. So it was kind of nicely sailed by the American Magic guys in that second race, and I think it was something that a lot of the teams were working through a lot of issues, along with the race management system, and just trying to make sure that everything is working and ready for Thursday, or tomorrow, I should say.
Yes, sir.
Kia ora, Ropata from Māori Television. This question's for the challenging teams. What makes sailing in Aotearoa, New Zealand so unique?
Terry?
Yeah, I think you just have to look outside. It's the conditions itself, having lived here from 2000 to 2007 for the better part of 5 years, be it on Course C or out in the back paddock or out in the Gulf. The racing's spectacular. And the conditions are shifty enough that there's always lands of opportunity for you, and at the same time, having the smaller race course, I think the backdrop that you're going to see in and around that's going to come off the water to the world is going to be just incredible.
Max, you want to add a few words?
Well, New Zealand is one of the best places in the world, no? I think that I spent almost 10 years of my life here in New Zealand together with Luna Rossa and with Team New Zealand. The thing which I like the most of New Zealand is the fact everything is easy to do. Life is just simple here, and especially for kids and for you to do stuff. It's just a matter of fact, and I think what you really appreciate of New Zealand.
Thank you for your kind words for New Zealand. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, Neil? Todd Neil?
Todd Niall from Stuff. Can I ask Max and Terry, the things that you are going to be working on, how much is changing the boat and how much is human, how you sail it?
Well,
Max first.
Behind the boat there is human, no? So the result of what you see in the boat is actually what the human are, the input of the human they're putting on. As I said before, I think every day there is a different boat. This boat, they behave completely different according to the wind range speed. And Ben said, and everyone said, the development process will keep going. We will see a lot of change, at least on our side, in the next coming week, and I think everyone else it will do the same. So I think we are just at the beginning of this boat. They are just new, and every day you discover something new. So I think we need to pay attention to do not give it for fact a final result every time. I think, as we said in the last few days, there is a different performance according to the wind, and so let's see how it goes.
Thank you.
I probably don't have a lot to add to what Max just said, other than the continual improvement on the day is probably going to be the difference maker for all four of us in March, and the platforms really evolve daily, and so it'll be exciting to see across the wind ranges where we're strong and where we're weak against certainly the other two challengers and then the defender over the next 4 days of racing. But it's every day is a new day.
One more question, yes?
Just a question for Ian. Over the last couple of days, there's been the usual with light airs, a few frustrations and things. In terms of holding these races within that 3 to 6 p.m. window, do you have any flexibility to go beyond that at all if conditions improve on you, or how set are you in that?
Look, we're operating we have an exclusive time zone out there, and so that is a limit on what we have. Our race window is inside that. Our race window is really 2 hours, which is tied in with the broadcast. So, we will try to comply with the broadcast, but if we can't comply, we have the ability to hold a race after the broadcast window, and we will try to keep the schedule that way.
Thank you. One more question before we switch to Zoom.
This is for Pete and Ben. As far as the digital diamond that they were talking about earlier, how much adjustment have you been able to sort of practice that, or only once all these systems in place have you got an idea? And how tricky is that going around the marks and things? Does it add an extra element, or is it quite easy to incorporate?
Well, the digital diamond, it's in terms of the proximity of the boats, we still got to gauge that. It's quite tricky because obviously, when we race the boats in simulation, you've got that there, but in real life, you don't have marking on the water. So there's a bit of, I think, a learning process for all of the teams in that. And in terms of the marks, it doesn't count. You can hit the marks if you want to, but I wouldn't suggest that's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add there. Obviously, it's still a judgment call as to how far apart the boats have to be before. But I think the really good thing with the virtual boundary around the boats is it does encourage people to keep that little bit further apart. Obviously, no one really wants to see these boats crashing into each other, so that's kind of the end goal.
One last question before Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael Burgess from the New Zealand Herald. Question for Peter. Peter, how are you feeling at the start of all this compared to how you were feeling last time in Bermuda when it was also new? And also, how do you think you've developed and changed in the last 4 years?
Yeah, definitely a tricky question. I think building up to Bermuda was quite different to this time around. Last time, obviously we're sitting in the challenger's seat, not the defender's seat, but we were very much had that same approach where we were just making sure we did everything we can to try and arrive at the start line with the fastest boat and as prepared as we could be. And we've taken that approach this time around as well. We've very much been trying to focus on it more as we're trying to win it again rather than defend it. But I think the incredible thing this time as well is that we're actually on home waters. It's something that does present its challenges, but it's pretty incredible to see how many Kiwis are starting to get excited about this event. And I think Tina talked about it before, but it's incredible to see this team of 5 million people that have managed to keep COVID out of the community now. So it gives us that ability to actually be able to get out there and race and have people on the water, not have social distancing in an environment like this. And it's something that I think we're just really excited to have a good summer of racing, and that's kind of what it's all about at the end of the day is having an incredible spectacle and an incredible bit of racing. So we're just looking forward to putting our best foot forward and being as prepared as we can come the 6th of March.
Okay, thank you. Now let's try Zoom. Antonio.
First question comes from the States. Bernie Wilson, AP.
Hello, Bruno. How you doing?
Great.
Good. My question will be for Terry Hutchison. I'll pick on him, Seppo to Seppo. Terry, how much of a setback was it to lose the first two ACWS regattas, in terms of development and training in these new boats? And second part of the question, how fortunate do you guys all feel down there that, you're sort of in your own little bubble while COVID continues to wreck sports everywhere else every day?
Well, it's good to see you, Bernie. Looking good. To your first question, I think the entire structure of racing, probably not having the opportunity to race in Cagliari and then again in Portsmouth, from the systems that go inside the boat to the media to the race committee, we all are probably a bit on the back foot and the team's racing because everything's new. And so the setback is a setback, and how we deal with it going forward from here is probably is probably going to be the measure. You know, from a sailing perspective and a racing perspective, it's impressive to see the teams, all 4 teams really straight away sailing at a high level. And so you can see the work that's been done behind the scenes, as discussed earlier with the simulators and stuff like that. You know, you can see a lot of that work coming to fruition, even though the boats haven't been on the water. So, you know, I think, you know, collectively as a group, competitors and the race organizers, we have a lot of work to do just to get to a place that's competent. And to your second point, obviously we feel very lucky to be here in New Zealand. You know, as a team, you know, we were incredibly appreciative to the work and the efforts that went on behind the scenes when we put all of our gear on a boat in Pensacola, Florida, with really no guarantees to get into the country. And as it all played out, you know, it all worked to a certain degree, and you know, having come through the managed isolation, come through to this point, you couldn't have come across nicer people to help you through a really difficult time. And so in that light, I think, you know, we're all incredibly fortunate.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Bernie. Next one from Zoom.
She's Gaia Piccardi from
Gaia.
Italy, Corriere della Sera.
Hi, Gaia.
Hi, everybody. Ciao, Bruno. Ciao. My question is for Max, please. Max, based on the information that you gather so far about the other challengers, I'd like to know who do you fear the most and why? Thank you.
Ciao, Gaia. Well, first of all, I fear us as a team because, I mean, this boat is, we're privileged to sail this monster. They are real monster. The learning process is still big, but again, as I said many times, first of all, you need to try to do less mistake as possible every day you're going out in the water. And as I said many times, today, I don't think it's the real level we're going to see in the next coming months. Everyone will improve big time in light and strong breeze. So it's a process, no? The goal of the 3 of us is to try to race against Team New Zealand in March. But before then, we need to make sure to beat the other challengers. So it's going to be a fight until the end. And so we respect everyone, but first of all, we need to try to do not make mistake by ourselves.
Thank you, Gaia.
Next
Please.
question, Craig Lewick, Scuttlebutt.
Scuttlebutt, Craig Lewick. Is he here?
Yes, he is here, but you know. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, Craig. Good afternoon, good evening, I don't know.
Hello, Bruno. Craig here from San Diego, California. I have a question for Terry Hutchinson. It is always discussed about how the America's Cup is about boat development. But how do you develop your boat when you want to learn about your performance without showing your competitors too much, knowing that they face the same dilemma?
Thanks for the question there, Craig. I mean, I think...
I don't know why they disappear, though.
Yeah, it's good to see you briefly. You know, I think all 4 teams probably are in the similar situation that, you know, there is no time. And so every day that we go out, at least from an American Magic perspective, we go out treating every day as race day. And that way you can measure how the boat's going on that day. And if you improved over the day before and same on the following day. And so at this point, time is probably the #1 enemy. And so we have to, you know, certainly from our perspective, we just continue to develop and learn as fast as we possibly can.
Next.
Next is Justin Crisholm from England.
Justin Chisholm from the Yacht Racing Life website. My question is for Ben. Ben, you've been suffering from some pretty aggressive and negative press over the last few days about the performance of the boat and the team. I wondered how that made you feel personally, because we've seen what happened in London 2012 when you got, well, they made you angry was what you said at the time, and you demonstrated on the water, you know, what can happen when people make you angry. Are we going to see you come out all guns blazing on the weekend when the racing starts?
Hey, Justin. Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, we're so busy with getting ready for this competition. We don't, you know, it's water off a duck's back. It's not something that we even consider. Ultimately, it's the whole team. So together, we have to sort out our issues, you know, in terms of our light air performance. But we've got a fantastic team. We've got some brilliant designers, engineers, shore team. And if anyone can sort out those issues, then I think it's our team. So that's really our focus.
Thank you. Thank you, Justin.
Next question, Dave Reed.
From Salem Road in Newport, Rhode Island. So this, for all the skippers in the limited racing that you've done so far, can you name one thing you've learned about yourselves and your package, and also one of your teammate or your competitors?
Do you want to respond? Terry? American journalist, so you should respond.
Hey, Dave, how you doing? Hope all's well in Newport. What have we learned? We've learned that of the other three teams that we raced, they're all fast enough that if you're behind them, you're going to struggle to get around them. So we better keep getting faster on the day.
That's all? Any other question?
Well, at the end, it's a yacht race, no? So you need to start well. You want to try to cross in front on the first cross and then play the game. So again, I mean, it's not a car, it's a sailboat. So you need to sail well, you need to go to the right side, you need to start ahead. It's all the same. They're just going faster. So if you go to the wrong side, you're going faster to the wrong side. So you want to try to avoid that.
I have a question from Jack Griffin, Cup Experience. I don't know if he's able to connect, but he sent me a question. This is to Terry or to anyone. How do you judge how far you are from another boat? And does the boat receive some data from race comms to show this?
So the judging the distance to the other boat, my eyes are normally closed, so I would suspect Dean's looking at them. And you don't really, you get the information to the boundaries and to the marks and stuff like that, but you know, for the most part, it's the same as it ever was. You know, using the visuals.
Yes. And Ben, how did you decide to mount the grinding pedestal transversely instead of fore and aft? Apparently he knows. I didn't know that.
Well, all the teams obviously spent a lot of time considering the internal layout of the boat and the efficiency. And, you know, some teams started out with grinders and sailors shifting from side to side. Some teams are still doing that a little bit. Some teams not at all. And so our grinding team, our engineers came up with what we believe was the most efficient system. And that's how it got developed.
Thank you. Any more Zoom questions or?
Well, we have a Fabio Pozzo from La Stampa, but we have some problem in unmuting. We try. Fabio?
Okay, next.
No.
We do that tomorrow. Thank you very much for attending this opening press conference. And I wish you a good racing tomorrow. Thank you very much.